What's up, everybody? You got both of us this time. It's Trey Smith and Brandon Holmes, both halves of the Blue Blood College Game Time podcast. Man, you saw the headline. Jimbo Fisher dry snitched hardcore in his post-signing day press conference. We were getting into that, but my goodness, B. Holmes, he went on a tirade.
He was offended.
On everybody, it feels like.
His feelings were hurt.
I'm serious. So it starts off with this, and I'm going to be referencing my phone here because I got some of his direct quotes. So it all started with this whole bro Bible, right? First off, I learned from multiple Jimbo Fisher press conferences after signing day that he reads bro Bible, and he has taken issue with sliced bread, one of the writers. But what blew that up, B. Holmes? We were talking about that before we started recording.
The biggest thing was the vice president of Notre Dame, retweeted a tweet that the guy from Sliced Bread said something like A&M spent like $30 million on this recruiting class, which, I mean, here's to put it in parallel how insane that would be if that's true. The entire rookie class of the worst team in football, the Jacksonville Jaguars, spent $22 million across their rookie class. So they ain't them shelling out $30 million for a number one recruiting class. I mean, it paid off. They got the number one recruiting class, but that kind of fired him up because the vice president of Notre Dame, came at him over Twitter while retweeting. Which he actually did delete the tweet, though. I don't know if you know that he went back and deleted the tweet. So he did backpedal like Dion. But
that was one of the ones that Jimbo, when he really started getting fired up, was he started talking about the vice president at Notre Dame and starts talking about that, and then he brings up Nick Saban, his former boss, worked with him at LSU, worked for him at LSU. Says, it's funny, when Nick Saban said his quarterback got $800,000 deal, it was wonderful. And then ball games are changing, and it ain't because of NIL. Here's what I think's driving me crazy about this. Are we really supposed to sit here and believe that Texas A&M just signed the number one recruiting class, the highest ranking recruiting class of all time, because of the 12th man and the education and the coaching staff that they have over there in College Station? Give me a break. And that's what's really so funny about this press conference and in this 2.5 to 3 minute tirade. It's like he dry snitches, which we're going to get to in a second, but then he contradicts himself. Because he starts trying to deflect, right? And with this, he brings up Nick Saban. Oh, well, when Nick Saban was bragging about Bryce Young's
$800,000 deal.
He didn't call out Bryce Young, but we all know that's who Nick Saban was talking about. It was at the beginning of the season. He signed almost $1 million worth of NIL deals before he ever took a snap. And he starts trying to deflect to him. Well, that then leads me to another quote that surfaced on National Signing Day from Nick Saban. And you and I were texting about this when Saban said, I hear these crazy people on TV who say, now you're doing it above board. We never did it. We never did it. We never cheated to get a player. We never paid players to come to our school. What do you think about that quote?
Listen, this is what I'm going to say. The bag man is real. Your dad, your grandfather played college sports. My dad played Division I sports as well. I've been friends with multiple Division I athletes. I mean, unfortunately, track guys, we never get anything, so I didn't get to experience this. No bag man is for the track program. But the bag man is real, bro. And I have all respect for Coach Saban. This isn't rat poison for all our Bama fans that are about to watch this. This isn't rat poison. This is what I'm saying, though. Come on, Nick. Let's be honest. You may not have participated in recruiting going that way, but there's no way you can tell me that you did that's not how you guys bring guys in. You definitely look the other way because at this point, let's just be real, Trey. It's always been there. It's now they can just do it above board, as he says, but it's not going anywhere. It's always been that way. That's been the biggest thing, man. I think about, and this is what goes back to Jimbo's point, which kind of frustrates me, is the number one recruit in the country Walter Nolan. He was a big-time Michigan lean for a long time. Insiders released. It came down to money. That's what it came down to. At the time, Michigan wasn't really willing. We didn't know where NIL was going. So, they were nervous of the red tape. A&M said, forget the red tape. Like, bag man. Yeah, that's me. Like, whatever. What do you need? And so I just think Saban saying that, I respect Coach Nick Saban. I'm not calling him a liar. I'm just saying there's no way, like, especially in the landscape of college sports, what we know it to be, there's no way you're just recruiting those kids off just because they want to play at Alabama. I don't care who you are. I don't care, because most of these kids, well, a majority of those kids come from situations where money helps. And we know it's a bidding war.
But moving on, so what are your thoughts, though, on this Kiffin?
I think Kiffin just did it to ruffle feathers. I don't think he cares. I think Kiffin understands the game. I think Kiffin never denied the game. I think, Kiffin seems like he's the type of coach that's like, yeah, it is what it is, man. Like, we know the game. We're not going to lie about it. We're not going to act like. I think it was more of like a funny shot, because, I mean, I agree with him. It's like, come on, A&M. You've never had the number one overall class in the country. Like, ever. Never. And you got the highest rated number one overall class in the country. Ever. So, yeah, I agree with him. Like, yeah, maybe there should be some luxury tax. And I did see an article about, like, maybe, and I'm swinging it back around this way to say it like this. The NCAA can't get mad at any of this, Trey, because they had ample amount of years to put something in place to prevent the Wild Wild West from happening. Student athletes, specifically football and basketball players, tried to unionize. Remember the guys from Northwestern a couple years ago? Like, they've consistently tried to get something in place where it's just like, hey, just give a salary, whether it increases by each year, and let that be that. Maybe allow us to have a deal or two. And this is what happens when you didn't take the responsibility on your own as an NCAA, and now you let the Wild Wild West happen. And now it's going to be hard to regulate it. So I think Kiffin did it just to kind of poke the bear, per se. To me, I imagine Kiffin is like the little brother, and Jimbo's the older brother, and he's like, don't touch my stuff. And Kiffin's just like slowly just like doing, like, that's Kiffin to me in that sense. And I think, I think Jimbo is just, I think Jimbo's just like, hey man, if I'm Jimbo Fisher in this situation, I'm like, okay, and what? Do something about it. Like, do something about it, man. Don't be mad, because essentially this is what I do agree with it all in the NIL, and then I'm done. It did bring some parity, right? Because for the last couple of years, it's always been Bama or Georgia with the number one class. This year, it brought some parity. We got a new number one, and NIL has changed the game. With, like we saw, Travis Hunter go to Jackson State. Like, I like it. I hope it's here to stay. I hope they find some type of regulation, but I think it's great, man. If them boys down in College Station want to pony up on that oil money and pay a bunch of kids, because at the end of the day, here's what people forget, Trey: they still got to win games.
Yeah,
still got to win games.
So they have the most expensive recruiting class to go win 8 or 9 games. But either way, here's to me my point with Jimbo. He's getting so fired up and he's getting so defensive, and it was an entertaining press conference. Don't get me wrong, and maybe there was some. Maybe that was calculated on his end because he knew he would be trending and it would bring more attention to the program. But the fact that he's so passionately defending, like, almost validates what everybody's saying. Not that we don't already know that, but, I mean, come on, man. Like, you can't really think that we're supposed to just sit here and go, oh, yeah, you know what, he's right, the 12th man.
Have you been to College Station?
And, da-da-da-da-da. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a good place to go play football. Don't get me wrong, but you have to be crazy if you think people are going to believe that the NIL had nothing to do with this. Like, just own it. If anything, it's legal now. It's not wrong. Like, just own it. Quit acting like it's your coaches and how he said it's insulting to the players. Man, give me a break. And we're talking about the university that bought Eric Dickerson a gold Trans Am back in the late 70s when they were trying to get him to the university.
It's the truth. It's like with you. It's like, be like UT. You see what UT is doing? This is why I respect UT. This is why I respect Sarkisian. They're paying every offensive lineman $60,000. They're just putting it out there. I can respect that. I can respect the program that's like, hey, you come play O-line here, you get an annual salary of $60,000, plus you're going to get this NIL deal from Outback Steakhouse where you can go eat 2 meals for free. Like, own it, man. This is the era.
Just own it.
Me, obviously we're not college coaches. We don't recruit, so this is all hypothetical. But if I'm a college coach in this era, I'm more transparent than ever. I'm like, yeah, man, this is how much we can pay you. I can set you up with this alumni network. Like, I'm just being honest, because this day and age, these kids, let's be real, and I'm happy for them. They can say, show me the money. So be real. Be upfront with it. Yep, we pay kids, and this is what we're doing.
And this is how we do it. All right, here's the moment everyone's been waiting for, the dry snitch. Jimbo Fisher dry snitching when he said he had just gotten fired up about the Notre Dame
Bro Bible.
VP, retweeting Bro Bob, whatever, referenced the conference coaches, and then he says, I know how some of those guys recruit too. Go dig into that. I know the history. I know the tradition, and I know things. Trust me, you don't want to go down that avenue. So now you've gotten really defensive, try to convince everybody that you signed this big class because of your coaches, the tradition, the 12th man, and the education. And then now you're deflecting, going, well, hold on. I know how some of these other guys that are taking shots recruit. Like, go dig into that. I know about their NIL issues, and I know about this and that and the other. So what are you trying to imply here, Jimbo? Who do you know has cheated or is cheating? Like, what is this information that you have that you're trying to like divert everybody's attention to because everyone's pointing the finger at you? It's dry snitching. That's 101.
And here's what I know for a fact. Like, I don't know details. But Jimbo knows. He's been a part of it. Because even when he's at Florida State, I don't have details. And I'm being honest about this. But I know somebody that played at Florida State. I asked him deliberately how that, because you remember Florida State had the whole cheating scandal with the tutors. So somebody I know was there when that happened. So I was asking about all that, and he's like, he smiled and said, we don't really talk about that. So let's just put context clues together. If you're asking somebody deliberately, like, how much are you getting paid under the table, and they just smile like, I don't know what you're talking about, odds are they were getting money under the table. So, Jimbo, this is all I have to say, man. Like, own it. We don't care. I don't care because it's something that's been going around forever. I don't care where you're at. I went to a prestigious Christian university that was Division I, and our basketball players were getting the bag. Like, the bag man was coming there. So it's everywhere. It's so ingrained in college sports. It's just normal. The fact that it's just like above the board now, own it. Say, yeah, if I'm Jimbo, I'm like, you know what? It's true. NIL helped us land this. And if you have a problem with it, tell your donors, tell your boosters, pony up and figure this thing out. Because until now, we're going to keep doing what we're doing because obviously it's working, and obviously we know this. Kids talk. So all those kids are telling the other guys on the circuit, yeah, man, A&M, man, I'm getting close to 6 figures a year, or I'm getting 6 figures a year. Come to A&M, man, they take care of you. Because what we know this, Trey, we lived in Texas. You live in Texas, I've lived in Texas. Ain't nobody just trying to move to College Station. Like, no one's just trying to, it's not L.A. You know what I mean? It's not. Think about this. Have you ever been to Tuscaloosa, Alabama? No shade. Ain't nobody moving to Alabama just to go. Like, no, the bag man. So let's just call it what it is, man. Let's call it what it is. Let's quit the nonsense. Don't dry snitch and just own it.
There you go. Well, look, if you're still watching, you hung with us, please leave in the comments. What are your thoughts on just the wild, wild west of recruiting and NIL and all of college sports really right now, but particularly college football? Please hit subscribe. Sir. And, I just – and those of you that are wondering, what is a dry snitch? It's when you basically passive-aggressively tattletale on somebody. And that's essentially what Jimbo Fisher did in the peak of that press conference rant he went on. And he snitched, man. He's trying to get people. He said, "Go look in. Go." Did he say, "Go dig into that"? Like, come on, man.
That's what he said.
Come on, I know the tradition. I know what's going on.
Those guys are bulletproof. It's never happening. It's like somebody trying to pull one on Coach K, which we should talk about another time because I know he cheats too. But anyways, and I have an inside source on that one.
It's like it is what it is. It is what it is. So, all right, please hit subscribe. B Holmes, that's all I got. Man. Go follow us on the socials.
We love y'all. Peace.